Hi, welcome. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And today we are interviewing a member of the West Bloomfield School District Board, Julie Beaty. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. What is your schedule like when at work?
When at work,
Yes.
oh, no day is actually the same because I work at Michigan State University and I'm a college professor, but I also help promote the master's program for the strategic communications department. So I juggle teaching courses at the same time having meetings with different corporations discussing how MSU and our StratCom department can help with their professional development. So I go from anywhere of teaching the classes, working with the students, and having meetings with different corporations around the country.
What do you teach?
I teach actually, most of my concentration is in the advertising department and in the strategic communications department. So I teach anywhere from digital analytics, I teach media analytics, I teach principles of advertising, digital media planning and buying. So there's quite a few different courses that I teach, but all of them really are anchored around advertising and communications.
Do you have a specific school board schedule?
As far as the school board schedule, that is also actually pretty intense. So we meet at least twice a month. One is a study session and one is a board meeting. But in addition to that, there's a lot of different committees that we have that I sit on a few of the different committees that we will also meet. We have strategic planning. Right now we're studying for and preparing for a bond that's going to be put before the voters in May. And so there's a lot of research and work that needs to be done against that as well. So there's always a lot of activity and work to be done. It's really important to support public education. As you can see, I work at a public university and I really support the K through 12 public education system as well. So there's a lot of work to be done to support that.
All right, going into school board questions, we'll go back to more Michigan State University questions in a bit. But what's the easiest thing to make a decision on when you're on the school board or doing school board stuff?
The easiest decision is ones that affect the success of our students. Those are the ones that we enjoy the most. The ones that really have to do with curriculum and the betterment of our students. And anywhere out from that is supporting the teachers, because without the teachers, we can't support the students. Those are the most fun decisions that we get to make, is ways to support those populations.
What is the hardest thing to make a decision on?
Most of it has to do with when we don't have the funding from the state. And if we don't have enough funding from the state, then we have to make difficult budget decisions. And difficult budget decisions can mean cutting programs that affect the students, cutting teachers that affect the students. And those are things that we really will do everything in our power to avoid having to make those decisions. And because of making the right decisions and the support of now the state government, we've been able to avoid those difficult decisions over the last couple of years. But we've done that very intentionally by making the choices that we've had to do over the last several years.
Now, this can be for any of it. Actually, no. This is school board. Your favorite thing to make a decision on?
The favorite thing to make a decision on is anything that positively affects the students directly, because they are the reason that we are all here.
Your least favorite thing to make a decision on?
Is anything budgetary that we have to cut.
This can be a controversial question, but who is your favorite person to work with?
Oh, favorite person to work
And this
with.
can be both at Michigan State and on school board as well.
I will tell you, I'm going to actually go with Michigan State because I just taught a class where I brought in a bunch of alum to come in and speak to my students. And to me, it's really exciting to see an alum's reaction to coming back to Michigan State and being able to give back to their university by being a guest lecturer in one of my classes. They feel so fulfilled and excited to be there. That translates, though, into my work as a board member on the Board of Education in West Bloomfield. It's really watching the teachers being so excited about the work they've done and the effect that they've had on students, and really having the students come into our board meetings and tell us the excitement that they had with a project or a class, or simply the school itself and different activities that they experience. It's really just sharing in other people's excitement and happiness and feeling and witnessing them feeling fulfilled.
What is it like to be on the board?
It's a lot of work. It's challenging, but it's also fulfilling. Anything I think that is fulfilling is challenging. And I love giving back to the community. I'm a very strong believer that you don't just live in a community, that you become part of that community. And to be part of that community, you have to give back, whether it's financially, it's time, it's your talents, however you can. That is what all of us, if all of us felt that tug to be giving back in whatever type of process that looks like for you, it just makes it a better place to live.
It's important to give back.
It is.
Doesn't matter what shape or form it is, giving back is important, and it is also something that I care very deeply about.
And you get something out of that, and that's okay too. You get that feeling of fulfillment, of being able to help your fellow man, whether it's a student, a teacher, or a student at college.
And it doesn't even have to be like an actual object. It just, that feeling inside your body that you helped someone out is very motivating to do more and feels good.
And it makes it all worth it. It definitely does.
What is it like to be a teacher at Michigan State?
That is honestly, it's a dream come true. I spent 30 years of my career actually working in advertising sales. I worked at MTV, I've worked at Nickelodeon, I worked at iHeartMedia, I've worked at NBC Universal, I've worked in Chicago, in LA, and my dream job is actually working at Michigan State University. I absolutely love helping young adults discover what their passion is, discover where their attributes can lend and be additive to a greater community, even if that community happens to be a corporation, and really helping guide them to their next step in life. And matter of fact, I started a women's mentorship program that connects the senior level women that I know in the industry of advertising with the seniors and juniors who are graduating out of the advertising program. So that's just another way that I can give back and make use of all of these contacts I've made out in my career and make that a benefit to the students that I work with at Michigan State.
When you did NBC work, did you meet some of the anchors who are still present in anchoring?
I actually did not. When I was at NBC Universal owns a lot of different properties. And one of them was Oxygen Media, the television network, the cable network. And that's really where I did most of my work, was at Oxygen. So I didn't get to meet any of the news anchors. That's a very different division within NBC. So I didn't get access to those individuals.
Oh,
And
NBC
most of,
owns,
I'm sorry,
NBC owns WDIV, correct?
that is correct. And I really worked on a national platform, and WDIV is a local network. So we really did not interact at all, actually. And I did mostly advertising sales and not so much the local.
Oh. What is your career history?
Yeah. Well, I started off, I have an MBA I got from Central Michigan. And then I went on to Chicago and I worked at an ad agency called Leo Burnett. And I worked there for 6 years, and I worked on media research, which I actually discovered I did not like, which is okay. That is part of the learning process, and that's part of experiencing different work environments. But I went into buying and planning in the ad agency and the media side of advertising, and eventually left that to go and work into advertising sales. So what that is at that time I was working at Beaty in Chicago, and I really enjoyed selling that advertising time to the agencies and to clients. And I was so successful that they gave me a account executive position out in Los Angeles. So I moved out to LA, spent 2 more years at BET when I was recruited by MTV Networks to go be an account executive there. Now, MTV Networks, which is now called Paramount, owned Nickelodeon, MTV, VH1, Nick at Night, TV Land, CMT, Comedy Central. And I worked there for a number of years, about 10 years, and worked my way up to running all of Nickelodeon and all of the family properties. So whether it was television, print, digital, for the western half of the country, I ran all the advertising sales teams for the family properties of what we now call Paramount. When my kids got to the age of going to school, we decided we wanted to raise them in the Midwest, and I retired from my job of advertising sales out at MTV Networks and moved to Michigan. And my dream job at that time was to work at Oakland Community College as a professor, as an instructor. And I was recruited from Oxygen to come and run their office. And then I went to AT&T and ran all of their data, their big data for Detroit. And then I eventually went on to iHeart to run their automotive connections. But all this time, I still had a passion to teach. And when I was at iHeart is when I created the mentorship program that I spoke about earlier. And I reached out to the chairperson of the advertising department here at MSU, hoping that we could connect and that I could create a mentorship program with their seniors and juniors, as I mentioned. And through that relationship developed into actually teaching a programmatic class at MSU, and eventually led to me being full-time here instructor at MSU. And I quit working in the ad sales industry and started teaching advertising full-time at MSU.
That is a long career history.
I'm a little older, so that comes with the territory.
But still very fun, very fun. It sounds like you enjoyed every bit and piece of your career history.
I worked at MTV in the 90s in LA. I had a very good time. And then I worked at Nickelodeon, and then I'm now teaching at a college at a Big Ten university, and I get to sit on the Board of Education in West Bloomfield. To me, I'm living the dream.
So now, Michigan State, if I am doing math correctly, is like 45 minutes to an hour drive from West Bloomfield?
It's an hour and a half, one way.
Do you live somewhere in between the two, or?
I have to live actually in the borders of the West Bloomfield School District in order to sit on the board. I live in Orchard Lake and I commute. And
Oh,
long ways, I know, but it's worth it to me. But you
yeah.
have to remember, when I lived in LA, my commute was an hour and a half, and then I was only going 16 miles. So this an hour and a half commute's not that long when I'm used to that type of traffic.
Yeah. And when you did Nickelodeon, did you get to work with any of the stars that were on the television, or was it?
Now, those stars I did work with, I worked with Joe from Blue's Clues and Steve from Blue's Clues and the whole team from SpongeBob and the creator, the voices. Yes. And I got to go to movie premieres and Kids' Choice Awards and the Video Music Awards at MTV and got to do all those Hollywood things that people talk about. But I gave it all up so I could live in Michigan.
Ah, so you know Keenan Thompson, or
I do know. Yes, he was much younger when I knew him, but yes.
he
Yes.
he hosts the Kids' Choice Awards and apparently many other award shows.
Yeah. Yes, he was a great partner with our network.
Are you still in communication with any of the people that you used to work with?
People I used to work with, as far as coworkers, I am. As far as talent, I'm not. But yes, I'm still very much in connection. I just had a guest speaker to one of my classes at MSU, was a coworker of mine who still works at Paramount, who came to East Lansing just to speak to my class. Yeah.
Oh, alrighty. Now, out of all your career history, have you had a favorite place to work at?
That's hard. It would be a toss up between MSU and Paramount and MTV Networks. I mean, working at Nickelodeon when I had kids and going to all the events and just having the partners that I did with the movie studios, and it was a lot of fun. It was.
So you got inside information of release dates, of when these things are going to be out, when the orders for how long episodes are, info.
Yeah, I would. Yes, I would go to the movie premieres. I would get screenings. Yes.
Fun.
I was a big scoop. It was a lot of fun, but I really love teaching at Michigan State as well. It's just a different type of fun.
How long have you been on the West Bloomfield School District Board for?
10 years.
So this is your second term?
Yes.
And you still have 2 more years before the next election for you?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's long terms. They're 6-year terms.
Yeah. Most terms that I know of, it's like the presidential term, that like to be already 2 years in, it's like, whoa.
It is. It's interesting. It's 6 years terms, and initially it seems like a long time. But to your point, you're 2 years in, and then you only have 2 years left. This
But
way,
it just like the 2016 election was like slow, it seemed, and then all of a sudden time picked up.
yes. Time tends to pick up the older you get.
What do you have in plans to make West Bloomfield School District better with in the board?
Oh, there's so much we can still do. We want to improve the programs. There's always more opportunities, especially with the advancement of the digital age. Using the best tools that we have, the best approach to education. We want to make sure that we attract and retain the best teachers. The heart and soul of a district are the teachers. They make or break everything. So
without the staff in the schools, there is no school technically, unless you have kids, but without the teachers and the dedication that they have and for their passion, there is no school.
You have to have that dedication and that drive of the teachers to provide for the students. Your point exactly. And to making sure that they have the best tools to educate our students for the future. And that's what it's about. It's not about looking into the past, it's about looking into the future, and the future of the education system for our students, for our children, for our community children. And that's what's really important.
And then history is also really important because we can learn from what happened in the past, and then so we know not to do it again. This run
It's
through.
so important to learn from the past. You don't want to ignore your history. You don't want to
No.
you don't want to ignore it. You want to learn from it for sure.
Yes. You just don't want to live the same as your history.
Perfect. Yes.
All right. What are you currently working on? And this can be school board or your teaching job at Michigan State.
Well, how much time do you have, Max?
I have plenty of time. Plenty of time.
I am working on quite a few things. For the Board of Education, we're working on the bond. We would like to build 2 new elementary schools that will be state of the art.
What schools are you planning on doing?
Well, initially, now we're talking about Chico and Doherty. That's what we're speaking about right now. We have to get the bond passed to really determine, then the real work starts. You don't want to put too much work in front of making sure the community supports you or not. So that's a lot of work. Also, as far as MSU is concerned, I have 2 new classes I have to teach next semester that I have to actually create a curriculum for myself. I am working with a couple of different corporate partners to promote our master's program. And I'm also going to be teaching abroad in June, that I'm putting together a curriculum as well as advertising agency visits in London and Paris for my study abroad students. So I have a lot of moving pieces going on right now.
So I know the Roosevelt whole thing was just kind of whoa last year in the middle of nowhere. Have there been any plans to just keep it at the Abbott building?
There's just all discussions are on the table right now. We got to make sure what is safest and best for our students first. And that's what is going to have to lead any of those decisions.
All righty. Finally, before the more personalized questions come in, what is your education?
Yeah, as I said, I have a master's degree, and that's from Central Michigan.
What specifically did you major in, and then
Okay.
Master's?
I have a psychology undergrad. So I have a degree in psychology and then a master's in business.
Oh, interesting. All right, now for the personalized questions. You are a secretary on the board?
Yes.
What is it like to be one of the secretaries on the board?
Yeah, I like being the secretary. I read the motions and I take notes when we go into closed sessions. If we're in an open session, our executive secretary, Liz Bain, actually takes those official notes for the minutes for us. I really enjoy giving back to the board as much as I can.
How many years have you been the secretary?
I don't actually know that. I don't know that. I think it's been 2, because I've been on the board 10 years. I've been president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So my cumulative amount of years as secretary, I honestly couldn't quote for you.
So before Brickman was the president, you were the president, and then Hirsch then when Brickman was?
There's been Brickman, Hirsch, myself, Randy Sakwa. There's been quite a few of us who have been president. Sometimes we rotate, but there's been so much change going on that we've held Brickman for the last couple of years for continuity's sake.
Do you like it better than the rotation part?
I honestly do, quite honestly. I've spoke to other board members across the state at different school districts, And a lot of them have long-term presidents. It really should be who's the best person to serve as president at that moment that we're in, is how we should make that decision.
What is it like to teach at Michigan State University?
It's amazing. I'm actually right now in the office of the chairperson of my department. She's
Oh.
having everybody over for Friday night after work. And that's where I'm in right now. And downstairs are all my coworkers. And so we do get together and we socialize. And it's really a great mix between the traditional PhD professors and professors like myself that are called professors of practice, meaning that we come from the industry with years of experience and bring the application to the classroom. It's a good balance with the professors who actually bring that more theory-based information.
And my final question for you is, how many years have you taught at at Michigan State University?
I've taught here for 4 years.
I would say you just moved into Michigan State recently.
It is recently, yes. Yes, I started teaching on 2018. I believe I was still at iHeartMedia when I picked up one of the classes. And that eventually grew into a full-time position.
Oh, fun. Well, thank you for joining. I would like to thank Miss Lisa Graff for composing the email. And I will send this over to you as soon as it's edited and published. Have a good rest of your night and a good holiday.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful
You're
holiday.
welcome. Thank you. And to everyone else watching, hope you have a good holidays and safe holidays as well.
Bye.
Bye.